Welcome back to Seriously Funny. I'm your host, Mash Conveer. What did I just say? Welcome back to Seriously Funny. I'm your host, Mash Kabir, and I invented. Welcome back to Seriously Funny. I'm your host, Mash Kabir. Welcome back to Seriously Funny. I'm your host, Mash Kabir, and I put the water molecule together. This week, I have three pretty loose topics to talk about rather than one unified topic. It's been a while since I've done one of these clickbaiting. This one thing might be a bit of a challenge. But hopefully, I don't know what I just said. It's been a while since I've done one of these, so clickbaiting this one might be a challenge. That's what I was trying to say. Hopefully, I manage. If you're listening to this, you're either a loyal listener or the clickbait worked. I'll take either, really, or I'll take the conversion. So hit the buttons, whichever one is supported on the platform you are listening on. Anyways, on to the first thing. Again, to the audio listeners here, just like last week, like I said, I'm recording this like literally 1 minute after I press stop on last week's episode. Goodness. So the editing here will probably not be too. The editing here will be very, very, very sparse. By very sparse, I mean literally I'm probably gonna hit two buttons, hit export, and then upload it. And so, I have to. Obviously, I'll make the microphone sound good, but other than that, not much going on editing wise. So if there's a little bit more white space than you're normally used to in most episodes, it should be back to normal. I'll go back to a lot more thorough editing next week when I'm hopefully less busy. And so next week, well, I guess I'll be recording 2 days from the day you're listening to this, but regardless, video listeners, either you got a non edited episode because I didn't have time, or I saved editing this episode for a week and maybe I edited a little bit more. I had like 7 effing bloopers in the intro for some reason, so you probably saw those if nothing else. I should probably get going though. The first point, I don't know what I don't know what I call these things. I think I use them interchangeably. It makes no sense. Sometimes I say point, sometimes I say topic. I don't know. But the day that there's any rhyme or reason at all for anything I do on this podcast, that's the day that I fall off. And considering that I only get a few more than 10 listens per episode, I have nothing to fall off of yet. So I think I have time. Hopefully I sound a little bit more human in this episode than last episode. I sounded so corporate in the last episode, I just sounded so well speaking, and it was nice, good experience really. But this is my own script for just me and this podcast, just me and you here, so hopefully a little bit more human on this one. But yeah, stalling for time is my favorite pastime, even though today I don't have much. Disregard that the past 3 episodes have been 30 to 40 minutes instead of 20, except for last week's 20 episodes, because it was 25 minutes. I would have gone over, honestly, if I didn't put that limit on myself. But pressure is cool. Pressure. If you're a science guy or a gal, we all love our friend PivNert. PV equals nRT. Pressure times volume equals the moles of a substance times the ideal gas constant R times temperature. This is called the ideal gas law, and although it's a law, just like normal laws, this one can actually be broken. The ideal gas law falls apart in extremely high pressures and or extremely low temperatures. And when I say extremely low, I mean space level low. Okay, very low. But we can get around that by saying those gases aren't ideal. So screw you, Bose-Einstein condensate. No one even knows that you're the 5th state of matter, you loser. All right, chemistry aside, let's go to geology. Science, baby, and talk about what everyone listening probably thinks of when they think of cliche pressure analogies. Carbon. Carbon is pretty cool. From graphene to diamonds to climate change, shout out coal. It can make a lot of form. It can take a lot of forms. And two of the main ones, coal and diamonds, are a few steps off of each other. They're both carbon based, and whether you get coal or diamonds depends on the pressure. Now, I love to get in front of this microphone and ruin everything that you ever thought you knew, but a fact check says that this is true. The biggest difference really between whether you get diamond or coal is more or less pressure. Like, that's the biggest factor that will choose which one you get. So, it's a matter of higher temperature and higher pressure. The reason that diamonds are lower than coal usually is because the closer you get to the core of your cubical Earth, the more pressure and heat. You've seen the lava, I'm sure there is, and that makes it more likely to find diamond. Who would have thought that a game with zombies and green boom booms would be so scientific? I don't even think I mentioned Minecraft, but I think we all know what I'm talking about here. If you've ever listened to anything self-help, you know where this goes. And that's why I'm sitting here making dumb jokes. How you respond to pressure is pretty important. Can you be a monk who simply never feels pressure at all? Ever? Yes, you can. And I think that even if you don't take it that far, it's important to at least become a little bit more, resistant to pressure. And we do that by meditating, sleeping correctly, eating correctly, having good relationships, avoiding alcohol, because that's used to run away from your problems, and running away from your problems is going to make it hurt that much more when they finally catch up to you, because trust me, they're going to catch up to you. Yeah, really, really, really sad. It's like that green boom boom in Minecraft. It's just, you think you lost it, and then you swipe your mouse 180 degrees and boom, there goes your house. It's alcohol will also make you homeless, that's a fact, just like in Minecraft. Drugs, too. Remember the days heroin was prescribed to kids as cough medicine? Man, science really came in and ruined everything, huh? No more cigarettes, no more heroin or cocaine, no more Popeye or Sailor Mickey Mouse when they were just smoking the big old fat cigars, man. It was really better back in my day, wasn't it? I'm kidding. Don't do any of that. Anyways, building a resistance to pressure, to feeling pressure is all well and all, but if you're part of the Homo sapien group, phylum, cult, I don't remember what it was called exactly, but if you're part of this godforsaken cult, then you're probably not transcendent enough to never ever feel pressure. And for coal and diamonds, heat and pressure make the huge and for coal and diamonds, heat and pressure make the diamond, and coal. And I'm sure it's a bit more complicated, but for human beings, I would say that what causes it to go either way is perspective. And not only if, but how you utilize that pressure. If you feel pressure, are you able to take that pressure, bottle it up, and use it to propel yourself? Or does it crush you and turn you into a diamond? Because although we keep talking about diamonds and coal, I'm not sure how many people listening want to actually get turned into a mineral. If that's you, show me a path to the center of the earth. It sounds like quite a trip. Spicy. The question then is, how do you use that pressure? My throat is dying, but since I don't want to edit this episode, I am not going to take a drink of anything. And so my coffee that is sitting there and my water bottle that is sitting there, it is going to sit there until I finish recording. And if my vocal cords rip in half while I'm recording this episode, then so be it. Just know that it's your fault for not hitting the buttons and making me rich enough to not have to go to school. Your fault. The question... The question then is, how do you use that pressure? Well, again, perspective, I think, is the best way forward here. And this is something I'll think about more in the future, as I'm realizing that this has taken a bit more time than anticipated. But that's probably because of the amount of dumb jokes that I've made in the past topic, point, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, perspective. Perspective. When you have a project due in a week, I'm making the very, very, very large assumption that you have the work ethic to not procrastinate. And that's a fat claim with 7 PHs. The episode on procrastination will be made at some point when I get around to it. Honestly, I didn't mean to make that joke. Moving on. When you have a project due in a week and you get the beads of sweat rolling down your face, you can let that pressure stress you out, and the absolute mind and what? Stress you out of the absolute mind. That doesn't make any sense. What? I don't know. I was about to go to a class when I wrote this. And make you softer than an old pillow. Or you can use that pressure and healthy level of stress to work on that project, like me, propelling myself to finish this podcast, the 2 episodes, and then go finish writing the code for my stupid effing project. I hate you, embedded systems, but I'm the fake science. Where am I? Yeah. Does the pressure make you die and make you soft, or does it make you not die and make you work on your project and, of course, make you hard? Does it break you or does it move you? The choice is mostly yours. You can argue mental health with me, but I'm the fake scientist here, so good luck with that. Did you know about PivNert coming to this podcast? You probably did, because I've talked about it before, and I'm sure that you've listened to every episode of this, your favorite podcast here, Seriously Funny, right? Yep, and I'm sure that you remember all 100% of each and every episode because you listened to it 7 times. And I'm sure that there's only one person that listens to each of my episodes 10 times. Thank you to that one person. That's not true. I hope it's not true. Why am I talking? The choice is mostly yours. You can argue mental health. Like I said, I'm the fake scientist. Honestly, I'm too lazy to talk about the nuances. And if I feel like ad-libbing it, I will. Otherwise, we're moving on to the next topic for this episode. And I don't feel like ad-libbing. So I'm not going to, mostly because I don't have time to. Why do I always I watched myself editing the video last time, and this is what I was doing the entire 40-minute episode. Like, oh yeah, so last time for me was 2 episodes ago for you. I'm just doing this. Why am I rubbing my microphone? It's God. Hand down, under the table. Maybe I'll rub something. I'm not going to say that. I think that, goodness gracious. I think that'll be the last one because I spent more time than anticipated. So the next topic will probably be, I'm probably only going to go through 2 since I'm already at 12 minutes. I think that, I thought that this was going to be, quick and simple one, but apparently I had quite a lot of jokes to make here, so shout out to Green Boom Booms, am I right? Anyway, the second and maybe last thing, probably definitely last thing we have here, depending on how many jokes I have to say for this one. Also, let me just say, MacBook keyboard, after I got used to it, I cannot go back to typing on laptop keyboards. I wrote this script on mostly just my MacBook. Let me tell you, man, initially, I was a bit wary, okay? A bit weary. I was curious why everyone that reviewed it was such a big fan of this, but now that I'm used to it and I'm able to type a consistent like 198 to 100 WPM, I tried typing on a Windows laptop a few days ago. It was not a fun experience, let me tell you. It may not be a mechanical keyboard, which obviously I prefer that, but it's definitely my favorite laptop keyboard. Windows devices really need to step it up, mostly by removing the whole, Windows thing. If I weren't a gamer, well, at this point, college has made me a retired gamer. I'm dying. But if I weren't a gamer, I would not want to own a Windows machine. All it has going for it is the RGB. I guess MacBooks don't have that, maybe. All right, I should probably actually talk about what I meant to talk about. You might have heard before that life isn't black and white, and that's kind of true. Sometimes it is black and white. Sometimes you flip a coin and make your life decisions. I've told you to do that before at the very least. Other times things are a bit more tough. I think, though, that in life, a lot of things are neither binary or extremely complicated. Rather than a 0 or 1 scale, I think that most things lie more so on a -1 to 1 scale. It's not binary, I guess it's trinary. Life is on a trinary scale. You can love stuff, you can hate stuff, that's your -1 and your 1. Both of which are strong words, and one day we can talk about language, which I've probably already done before, but shout out recycling content. But other than loving something or hating something, I think you can just, not care about something. If you remember the episode I talked about hard decisions, I said another nuance might be that usually when we talk about this decision of what you love versus what works, there's an insinuation that what works is something that you hate. I'm going to hit you with the cold water. There's some people in the world that hate their jobs. We all know this, but there's also some people that don't love their jobs and they don't hate it either. It's just a thing they do, end quote. And this is where the zero comes in. Another example I've given before is talent. Whether you want to sit there and say and say hard work is everything, although it is important to work hard, some people are more talented at things than other people. That's just how it be. But talent isn't on a 0 to 1 scale. Talent, at least I would say, is on a -1 to 1 scale. You can be naturally good at something, but in the same way, you can be absolutely naturally bad at something, naturally below the average. Why is complicated? Why are you below the average? And that goes into the real argument, which, that can reach some pretty hefty depths inside of psychology and biology and neurology. And I don't feel like doing that right now. Moving on. Not everything in life should you care about enough to like or dislike. It just, that doesn't matter. Or apply a value judgment to. Most things in life you probably just won't care about. It won't matter. I've talked about this one or two. No, I did not. Nope. I did not talk about this 1 or 2 episodes ago. I talked about this in a vaulted episode that you'll get to hear posthumously, like your favorite artist's next album. Soon, TM. You have a limited amount of F's to give. If you go around in life and try to give an F about everything, you're screwed. You're going to be stretched incredibly thin, and you're not going to enjoy time loving and hating everything. It's just too hard. Most things in life are going to be a 0. If you're an ECE student, you probably don't care that water and carbon dioxide come together in a plant cell to make C6H12O6 plus 6O2 for glucose and oxygen in the process of photosynthesis within the chloroplast of the plant cell. If you're a psychologist, you probably don't care about voltage being current times resistance. And let me tell you, I really wish I didn't have to care either. Life has a lot of stuff in it. And if you had the gift and curse of being immortal, you might have the time to care about all of it. If that's you, power to you. Good luck being immortal. You'll care about everything, and one day you'll realize that you don't need to care about anything. But for us mere mortals, we need to realize within our ephemeral life span that we don't have the time to apply a -1 or 1 to everything in life. So there's a great number of 0 made by some. There's a great number, the number being 0, made by some or many cultures. I don't know who did it first. I don't know math history too well, unfortunately. And for everyone saying you can Google it, why don't you Google it? Huh? What? I'm running a podcast here. It may have 11 listeners, but I love those 11 listeners. They're a 1 for sure. Okay, or 10. I don't know. Is that a compliment or an insult? It depends on the context. In the context of this episode, that's a massive compliment. You're welcome. How does this apply to your life? Well, other than the whole don't give an F thing, it really doesn't. But like I said at the top of this episode, this one was just for me to talk about random things. So here we are. Life isn't all black and white. It's black, white, and gray. Neutrality is always a great choice. Pick it more often. That's a recommendation from me. It's usually the last one when people pick dodgeball teams. Don't be so mean to neutrality. It doesn't deserve that. It's actually pretty good at dodgeball if you just give it a shot. Stop caring more often, but not in the pretentious way. When people say, I don't care, half the time they definitely do effing care, okay? Don't be that person. You know who I'm talking about, all right, Carl? If there's actually Carl listening to this, I hope you don't do that. The last thing I wanted to talk about is something that's rehashed. So I'll just gloss over this one. something I said to my homie, to my buddy, to my friend a while ago. A pretty profound quote, really. Ready? Quote. I'm gonna give you my soft voice for this one. Quote. When you have the choice about thinking about tomorrow and what might or have, I don't know what I just said. I'm gonna start over. Quote. When you have the choice about thinking about tomorrow and why am I messing up? The moment of truth, and I can't get this right, and I'm not going to edit the audio on this episode. So this is not going to get fixed. It's just going to be broken, and you're going to hear me do this 6 times. You're going to go through this with me. All right? We're in this together. I'm at 20 minutes. I don't care if I'm going to go to 23 minutes just to finish this stupid quote in the perfect way. It's going to happen. All right? Attempt number 3. Quote, when you have the choice about thinking about tomorrow and what might, or you have the choice of being right here and doing something you love, why choose the former? There we go. I did it. Finally, we did it. Okay. Just needed to get some of that tension out, Sorry I yelled at you. I love you. Okay. Don't be offended. I didn't mean it. It comes from a place of love. Anyways, it's a pretty self-explanatory quote. When I said I'd gloss over it, oh no, I'm yawning. Oh God. Pretty self-explanatory quote. And when I said that I'd gloss over it, the quote kind of explains itself. I don't think so much about tomorrow don't think so much about tomorrow where all of your worries will fall apart anyways, either because you worried too much and didn't plan, or because you made a garbage plan, or because everything that can go wrong will go wrong. That's life. What's that called? Manson's Law? Instead of all of that and being worried about a failure that absolutely will come, why not just focus on right now? If it'll go wrong tomorrow, why not have fun today? Today is how you find peace and prosperity. Right here, right now. And that's all the random stuff that I have to talk about for this one. I'm at 22 minutes, and this isn't going to get... the first 1 minute was me just messing up my intro over and over again. Since I'm recording this episode a week in advance, I don't have any extra music or anime things to talk about, since I just finished recording the last episode literally just a few minutes ago. 1-2 minutes before this one. Everything I said in the last episode is where I am with media. So, MGK's album came out last week, probably. So I'll talk about that next week for you. And then still reading Omniscient Reader, like I said. Yeah. So that's all. I'll take one moment to say, hey, if you're still listening to this, first of all, thank you there. You're at the end here, and I've already said that, that's all. So a lot of people probably click off there. But if you're still listening to this, hey, I'm really, 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 really thankful that you listen to this podcast. I know that I don't have very many listeners. I get about 4 to 5 views on YouTube, and then the podcast on all platforms combined will, if I'm lucky, I get to 20. Usually I'm going to be at 15, 14, 13. Actually, we can look up the stats for the last few episodes. Let's just do that here for you, because honestly, it's nothing that I need to hide, is it? Let's load it up here. Let's see. Maybe I am hitting 20 average. I don't think so, am I? Let's see. 0 plays. Why is it 0? Well, because I haven't published it yet, so that makes sense. Episode that came out yesterday or 2 days ago, episode 93, remember to look up. That's 11 plays. Episode 92, my college struggles, 17. Comfort, 14, 17, 13, 15, 19. Yeah. So I was about right. So it's about 15 to 18 episodes or plays per episode. If that's you, and especially if that's the one listening right now at the end, I really, really appreciate it. Honestly, a part of me says, even if no one listened, I would still record this because it's a good creative outlet, and I'm creative. But a part of me says maybe I would have just done a bunch of other things as well. Or maybe I would have not done this a week if no one was listening to it, and I'd go write something fictional. Maybe I would go just work more on photo editing for the weekend. Maybe I wouldn't do any of that, and maybe I would just keep doing schoolwork. And so this forces me to do something creative. Is that my bed? No, I thought there was like a box or something over there. And so if you listen to this podcast, it truly, truly is very, very nice to know that. If you know me and you listen to this podcast, you've heard me say I love you probably before, but I'm going to say it here. I love you. Thank you so much for listening. And if you don't know me, I still love you. Keep listening. I hope that you keep listening, and I hope that I'm able to produce the content that's valuable enough to keep you listening. And so, work from both of our ends. That's about all. Just a kind of a heart to heart from me to you. I really, really appreciate it. It means a lot. I can sit here, I can tell you to share it, and I can tell you to tell other people to listen to it, which that would be awesome and sick and cool. And, the more people that listen, obviously the cooler it is for me. But at the end of the day, the fact that you listen, just you, maybe you listen with friends, who knows? The fact that just you listen, that's enough, and that's a lot. So much thanks. Maybe I will, for my entire podcasting career, I'm almost at 100 episodes here. I'm almost at 2 years, which is going to be 104 episodes. I'm almost at 2 years. I'll just be effing 20 viewer Andy the entire way through. But, whatever. If someone's listening. One person at the very most, or it seems like 4, 11, 17, 14. If I go to my dashboard here, it'll tell me that my estimated audience size is 12, which is one more than it was last week. So if there's only 12 of you listening, that's, thank you to you 12 people. I know probably like 4 of you, and the other 4, I probably know you, and I just don't know that you listen to my podcast. Who knows? But yeah. YouTube, audio, wherever you listen, I really, really, really appreciate it. So big ol' thank you from me. Like I just said, I love you so much. Much love from me to you. And I will talk at you again next week. Hopefully a little bit less busy. Hopefully a little bit more editing. Hopefully a lot nicer to look at and hear. But yeah, for these two, thank you so much for sticking with me and my incredibly, awfully busy schedule. Yeah. Again, much love. I'll see you. I'll talk at you next week. Peace.